Welcome to the deep dive. Imagine this picture. A leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, supreme leader of Iran, well into his later years. He's helming one of the longest-standing regimes in the Middle East.
A very long era, yes. Defined by revolutionary ideals, but also, deep isolation.
Exactly. And it feels like it's reached this really critical juncture. So the big question we're getting into today, does this era end with a rupture? Or
Right.
maybe some kind of reform.
That's the core tension, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rupture versus reform.
So this deep dive, we're pulling back the curtain on the incredibly complex world of Iran's supreme leadership. We want to unpack its unique structure.
And the internal debates, too, which are often overlooked.
Definitely. And the nuclear program debate, the resilience of Iranian society.
And crucially, the whole succession question. Legacy, too.
Right. Our mission here is to distill the key insights from the sources you've shared with us, really give you a shortcut to understanding the fascinating and often surprising realities inside the Islamic Republic.
Yeah, shortcut's a good way to put it. Synthesizing a lot of complex information.
And the sources mention this idea of a silent rule, but with a flip side of bitter totalitarianism. That paradox feels central.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And to grasp what's really at stake, we do need to connect those dots. It's not just what's happening.
Why it matters.
Exactly. And encouraging you, the listener, to think critically. There are multiple perspectives here. It's not straightforward.
No, definitely not. Okay, so let's unpack this first part. The foundation, the office of the Supreme Leader.
Right. The cornerstone.
It's written right into the 1979 Constitution, designed as the guardian, you could say, of the Islamic Republic's ideology.
The ideological purity, as you said.
But what was Khomeini's original vision for this? How did he see it functioning?
That's illuminating. Khomeini saw it as the theological spine of the state, a really unique blend of religious law.
Vilayat-e-faqih.
Precisely. The guardianship of the jurist.
Yeah.
Blending that with, modern state structures. It was meant to be both spiritual guide and ultimate political decider.
Okay, so then Ali Khamenei takes over in '89. The system's still, churning after the revolution.
Very much in flux, yes.
And crucially, he didn't have Khomeini's, let's say, religious stature. His credentials weren't the same.
A very different profile.
So how did he do it? How did he consolidate his position and, I guess, reshape things?
Well, that's key. It wasn't about theological weight for him, not in the same way. It was about institutional control.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The nuclear program.
Yes, always central.
It's such a strange thing, source of huge national pride for many Iranians.
Definitely a symbol of sovereignty, of technological achievement for some.
But internationally, it's the cause of so much isolation, sanctions.
A massive burden, economically and politically.
So from Khamenei's perspective, what was the driving logic? Why commit so hard to this capability?
You have to connect it back to his worldview.
Yeah.
It was deeply shaped by the Iran-Iraq War.
A devastating experience.
Absolutely. And decades of what he saw as foreign interference. So for him, self-sufficiency, especially in defense tech, wasn't just policy, it was existential.
He talked about Nizam, the system, needing immunization.
Exactly. Immunization against foreign threats. And nuclear capability, or at least ambiguity about it, was seen as a core part of that deterrent. A shield.
And supporters would say, look, it worked. It gave Iran a stronger hand globally, a seat at the table.
That's the argument, yes. That it enhances their bargaining power.
But the counter-argument.
The critics, both inside and outside Iran, say it's crippled the country. Diverted resources from desperate domestic needs, brought crushing sanctions.
Harmed the economy, civil society.
Precisely. And even though Iran insists the program is peaceful, the trust just isn't there. Especially with regional rivals like Israel, Saudi Arabia.
Right, the mistrust is profound. And you also hear some opposition voices abroad claiming that foreign powers might even want internal regime change.
Yeah, that's a claim that surfaces. Very hard to substantiate definitively, of course, but it's part of the debate, part of the charged atmosphere around Iran. Highlights the polarized views.
So amidst all this state-level drama, what about the Iranian people themselves? The sources point to this striking capacity for, spontaneous solidarity during crises.
It's remarkable, isn't it, this social cohesion?
What's behind it? And how does it work, given the state's control?
What's really interesting is that these moments of unity, this mutual support, often happen outside the state structures, sometimes even in tension with them.
Like during protests.
Exactly. You saw citizens turning to each other. Mutual aid, informal networks. Civil society groups stepping up when the state was, well, otherwise occupied or distrusted. It shows a deep social fabric operating almost independently.
So it really illustrates this paradox. The state has its formal control, its channels.
The official layer, yes.
But society itself, the social connections, operate differently, more horizontally, person to person, a kind of hidden strength.
Precisely. Some analysts call it a dual society, one official, one organic.
How does the regime see that?
Well, officially, they might frame it as just natural community resilience, people looking after each other. It's not necessarily as something separate from or opposed to the state, even though they also claim total popular support. It's a subtle line they walk.
Let's talk about legacy, that revolutionary ideology drawing on Persian history, Islamic grandeur.
A powerful narrative, reclaiming greatness.
But how it's viewed depends entirely on perspective, right? Noble anti-imperialism for some.
Or a theocratic regression for others.
What's the feeling inside Iran around this, that emotional landscape?
Oh, it's incredibly complex. There's definitely a desire for change, for more freedom, for a better economy.
But that doesn't always mean totally rejecting the revolution's original ideas.
Not necessarily. Many Iranians, even critics of the government, still hold on to a sense of pride in national independence, in standing up to foreign powers. Those foundational dreams haven't entirely faded for everyone.
You hear that dual narrative sometimes, don't you? In interviews, art, this yearning for a freer life, but also this reluctance to just throw out the ideals of '79 altogether.
Absolutely, especially among older generations. They remember the Shah's flaws, the reasons for the revolution.
But now they question if the Islamic Republic delivered on its promises.
Exactly, and for some, the fear isn't just about politics or economics. It's about something deeper, a loss of national identity, maybe a kind of spiritual erosion, even if not strictly religious.
Which leads to these huge unresolved questions, even within different factions.
Among reformists and conservatives alike. If you discard the current system, what replaces it? Can you have an Islamic Republic without clerical rule? Can you maintain those values differently? Big questions. Very much alive.
And maybe the biggest uncertainty right now, succession. The supreme leader.
The elephant in the room, really. Hugely consequential.
What's the official process and
Right.
what's the likely reality?
Officially, constitutionally, it's the Assembly of Experts. That's the clerical body tasked with choosing and overseeing the leader.
But in practice.
In practice, it's almost certainly going to be a negotiation, a behind-the-scenes balancing act among the real power players.
Who are they?
Key military figures, especially IRGC commanders. Senior clerics, obviously, powerful political brokers. It's less a vote, more a consensus-building exercise among the elite. Or maybe not consensus.
Names get thrown around. Ibrahim Raisi was often mentioned before his death.
Yes, his sudden death in May 2024 definitely created a vacuum, shifted the calculations.
And Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, is frequently discussed.
He is. But that brings up the whole issue of dynastic succession, which is incredibly controversial.
Because it looks like the monarchy they overthrew, right?
Precisely. It runs completely counter to revolutionary anti-monarchist principles. Huge internal resistance to that idea.
So what are other possibilities, other speculations?
Well, one idea is that the next leader might have a different kind of role, maybe more symbolic.
With the real power shifting elsewhere.
Possibly. Shifting more formally to institutions like the IRGC. Or maybe the system itself changes, perhaps a leadership council instead of one individual, or just a weaker supreme role overall.
Fundamentally changing the nature of the leadership.
It could. A lot really hangs on how the transition is managed. Will it be through consensus or through security structures?
And the third scenario.
Systemic overhaul. This is seen as less likely but not impossible.
Like a fundamental change.
Yeah, where internal pressures, maybe mass protests, combined with fractures among the elite, lead to a completely new constitutional order. Secular, pluralistic, something else entirely. A real break.
So it's really unclear whether this is evolution or potential breakdown.
Very much up in the air.
Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's just quickly recap some key takeaways. The supreme leader's role. Central, yes, but not invulnerable.
Its legitimacy isn't just about doctrine. It's about performance. Public perception, too. Crucial point.
And Iran is so much more than just its regime. Civil society, culture, those social networks, they operate alongside. Sometimes despite official structures, there's a real resilience there.
A deeper layer, definitely.
The sources also remind us those powerful myths, those revolutionary dreams, they shape reality, but they can also unravel. That vision of a strong, independent Islamic Iran still resonates.